What is up, and welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at various Bitcoin mining stocks. Now, for any of you subscribers to this channel, I'm going to be doing today's video just a touch different. I'm going to be diving a little bit more into one of the mining stocks and then talking about the rest as far as technical analysis. So comment below whether or not you like the change. Let's first start off with fear and greed. And as far as stocks go, still in the greed territory as far as crypto goes. We've been in neutrality, but now falling down into the fear territory. So going sideways, it's really just in line with what we've seen over the course of the last month. But if we are to get any sort of a sell-off in the next couple of weeks, and remember, markets have run hot for a decent minute, so I would not be surprised to see a little bit of a pullback that kind of goes in line with our seasonality too. Bitcoin, its worst 2 months are August and September, so if there's a little bit of chop even towards the end of September, early October, it wouldn't shock me. And one of the charts that I think has been playing out to a T, from an almanac perspective, we did get a summer pump, and we have been sort of chopping around. And you even see, as far as the NASDAQ is concerned, we tend to see a local top middle September with a pullback going into early October. So who knows? That is something that I am watching for. Now, as far as today's video, I did want to do a somewhat deeper dive into Marathon Digital Holdings. Again, we'll get into technical analysis on a lot of these: Iron, Riot, Cipher Course, Wolf, etc. So let's take a look at Mara, and this is on Market Watch. Great website to look at all your stocks. And just to be clear with you guys, I am not an expert on this. A lot of you could tell me a lot more about what all this stuff means. I am learning, and my goal for this channel is just to have a community to help us all learn together. But I like going to the balance sheet. I like seeing what the trend of the cash level is doing. Do they have a lot of cash on hand? Can they invest into their own company or companies under their umbrella? That overall looks good as far as their investments. They invested heavily in 23, not as much in 24. Okay, I don't know what that means beyond that, other than their investments went down last year. But total current assets around 500 million. We'll just round that number. Total assets at around 7 billion. I like to see that those numbers are above the liabilities, which they are. That's about a 5-to-1 ratio for total current asset to liability. Total liabilities, that's a little bit over a 2-to-1 ratio. So that is good, but you do see the liabilities spiking recently, though a little bit of a downtrend there. But yeah, overall, the ratio is good there. Now, I just did a Google search on Mara digital stock, and what caught my eye right away, I'm always a little bit skeptical of whatever the articles are. What is the narrative being pushed out there? And recently it says price down 1%, whatever. But at the end of last week, in the middle end of last week, we see these articles saying the stock's up 7%, time to buy. Isn't that great that you have these articles, first and foremost saying, hey, this thing just pumped. Hey, all the retail people out there, how about you buy it right after it pumps? So I was thinking, let's take a look at what last week was like, okay? Remember, these articles came out, one came out Sunday. This was literally the opening of this week. So one of those articles, let's go back to this. This came out a couple days ago. Today is the 23rd, so this came out the 21st. That's Sunday, okay? Time to buy, retail, and this was the opening on Monday. Look at this. We got, how big of a drop was this? This was a 7% drop. So after this article said, it's up 7%, time to buy, no, it wasn't. So do be wary. I see this happen way too often, more often than not, where whatever the articles that are out there, whatever sentiment they are, I like to be a little bit of a contrarian. That's, one of the keys, I think, to being a market psychologist. Be wary of the greed that's out there. And the other article, it came out 4 days ago, so would have been on the 19th. The price was at around $19, $18, and then it fell off. Now, eventually we did rally by today. This was as high as it got up. So if you have more patience, sure. But I think if you're a trader and you bought and got excited, you just got wrecked there. Let's zoom out at Mara and let's take a broader look. Now, Mara has been in this channel ever since, what is this, around December of 2023. It's been in this descending channel, all right? And let's take our fib, let's put it on log scale, because we're taking a look at the most greedy outcomes. Now, the 0.5 fib, it is right there at around 16 bucks. That's from our prior cycle high to low. We can draw that back a little bit further. So around 16 bucks. If you get Mara here, I do think anywhere between the macro 382 and the 0.5 are great areas to buy. Let's even go to the weekly. Now, a couple weeks ago, we were just staying underneath the 0.5, all these moving averages, saying, there's a lot of resistance, but that did show a good time to buy. We have made good supports. We even had a buy signal a couple weeks ago, very strong buy signal. So this is looking overall positive. Again, I think back to seasonality. Are we going to get a pullback in the coming weeks? I wouldn't be shocked if we saw a similar move like this, where you do see these lower highs actually overall as well. I would not be shocked to see actually, somewhat of a trend here. Let's see what happens. If we can break above this trend line, I'll feel a little bit more bullish than that. But otherwise, for Mara, we have been looking at some of the macro price targets. This was the 2017 peak, the 2021 peak. One of you wonderful smart subscribers let me know how there has been stock dilution, so that is something to factor in, that that can drive the price down overall. And taking a look at some of these targets, above its former all-time highs, as far as how much stock dilution is going to eat into that remains to be seen. But in my opinion, if Mara ever gets anywhere near or above the 1618 to the 2618, that's 132 to 211, anywhere along this trend line around 170. If Mara ever gets in here, in my opinion, that is a cannot miss selling opportunity up here. Will it get up there? Will it get the former all-time highs? Who knows? But I do like Mara. They do have the most amount of Bitcoin as far as any of the mining stocks are concerned. Now, first things first, we got to break out of this trend line above it. We got to get above that 618 and this golden pocket, the 618 to the 65, that has held Mara up for a while. That's right where the descending channel is too. But if Mara can get out of that descending channel, I think this thing can really run, 888 to former all-time highs, anywhere around the high 50s to 80 bucks. That might be where the top is. But, remember, these stocks, they do tend to ride with Bitcoin. So if we see Bitcoin, let's go back to 2017 and forward. You see how this topped right before and with Bitcoin. 2017, 2021, it was topping right with Bitcoin. So if we see Bitcoin going to 150K, 200K, and I would wonder, where's Mara going to be at those levels? All right, so that's kind of the difference in these videos, what I'm going to be doing, taking a dive such as that, about 5 to 7 minutes. Then we'll get into quick technical analysis of the other one. So let's get into the number one mining stock. That is Iron. And Iron, the AI mining stock, or when I at least looked up on Google, AI was being pasted all over it. So as far as Iron's concerned, I mean, look at that. It is right at that 1618, or at least it got right to it, which is at about 44 bucks. Let's zoom way in here. It got close. And again, my fib might be off just a little, but this did get in that $44 range. And I'm not surprised to see Iron getting a little bit of a pullback there. So we did talk about this, how high to low, when you go from where Iron IPO to the bottom, that 1618 is at, let's zoom down here, is at $45. Now, Iron, it has an $11 billion market cap. And so if you believe this can go to $22 billion, do a 2x from here, then you believe that it can get to somewhere around 80 bucks, give or take, Is there any fib around $80? Well, that's right between the 2618 and the 3618. And, I've been of the mind, last cycle where Mara topped, if you push that value forward, last cycle, the ratio of wherever the top miners would be around 20 to $25 billion. I think that's a reasonable area to take some profits. Now, again, these mining stocks, they go with Bitcoin. That's what we've seen historically. So can these get to a market cap in the $20 billion range, $50 billion? $50 billion, in my opinion, is the area I am really watching for. I think every cycle, the valuation, it does kind of go up. We have inflation, so that artificially pushes prices up as well. In each cycle, we do tend to see the good stocks, the good altcoins do get to higher highs. So if we add around a ballpark of the $20 billion valuations last cycle, this cycle, 30 to 50 billion is what I'd be looking for. So do watch for how these honor Bitcoin price. But iron, looking very good. Let's add on. Let's look at our MACD, shall we? Now, we are very disconnected from the moving averages. The MACD is still loading there. Let's also go into the stochastic RSI as well. So the MACD loaded up. Look at how much this thing is just shooting up there. The MACD is very overbought right now. A lot of upward momentum. And as far as the stochastic RSI, that is very toppy as well. Now, RSI MACD, it isn't always a one-to-one ratio, but you're looking for a change in strength to the downside possibly. Can we zoom out further than this? Can we go to the monthly? Down there, it only shows us the weekly. Anything on the monthly loading up? There might be nothing. There we go. The monthly showing that maybe there's still a little bit of room. But again, I don't believe we are near the end of a 4-year cycle quite yet. I would not be shocked to see a little bit of a pullback with iron from this 1618. Again, it's very detached from the moving averages. So, yeah, been talking about iron here for a while. So let's move on. Let's go to Riot. Riot is the number 3 overall mining stock at around $6 billion market cap. I like Riot because it broke out of that descending channel. Remember how we were talking about that with Mara before? So Riot doing well. Now, can it make this 0.5 fib into support? Every time we've gotten above it, it's just been about not even a month before it gets below. So we'll see what happens with Riot, but I do like seeing it above that 0.5. That's 618, which was the first big macro resistance right there at 2342. Even getting above this lower high, I think would be it's already bullish for Riot. I want to see support here, and I want to see what happens at that 618. All right, let's start flying through these like I promised. Cypher, then Cores. Cypher doing very well. That one got into outside the top 10. Now, Cypher, it is near its former all-time high, so this one is taking off like a rocket. Happy that I got it at about $2, give or take back here. So, a nice little 7x for me. But again, I'm being a little greedy. I'm waiting to see where Bitcoin tops, and I think these have room to run. Take your fib off log scale. Again, draw your fib retracement. That's your golden ratio indicator. Draw it macro high to low. Take it off log scale, just like I showed you. That's where you could see the price. I could see the charts on the log. So, how high could this one go? Who knows? It does have a market cap of $5.5 billion. So a 10x. Can this thing 10x from here and be worth 140? Blow the fibs out of the way. I don't know. But do watch to see what happens on these fibs, especially in the way Bitcoin goes, and whenever Bitcoin is starting to do somewhat of a topping structure. All right, we have Cores, then Wolf. Cores. Now this one was the number 1 mining stock for a moment. Let's see where it is at now. Now on the daily, we have this fib drawn from high to low. Good structure here. Almost came to another all-time high, but kind of like how we broke out of these lower high structure, sort of see something like that going on here as well. So are we getting a lower high structure? Are we going to run into a little bit of resistance there? that's just moving the trend line. I do wonder, if we do a fib from that recent high to low, I mean, that looks bullish in my opinion. But yeah, to me, that's a strange looking chart. Let's go to Darvis Box. I won't always have a good technical analysis answer for you guys. Yeah, Darvis Box is showing it's a bit out of the box, so it could fall back down to its 786. If it came back in there at around $15 and you really like cores, I don't think that would be the worst area to look at. All right, Wolf was the next one. Wolf was another mining stock performing very well. As you can see, this one continues to grind up. The 786 at around $17. I'd watch to see what happens there. Are we going to get a little bit of a pullback for Wolf? But yeah, getting above that golden pocket area, I do like this a lot for Wolf, and I'm happy to have bought in the $1 range. There is a few of you guys. One of you is from Brazil, and we were talking together about how Wolf could do possibly very well for us. And man, we're getting near a total 10x from when we were buying, when we were talking about this maybe a year ago. Isn't that crazy? A year or two ago. So yeah, it's cool watching this go up, and I hope any of you that bought this are enjoying some good profits on it. I do think, again, a lot of these have room to run. CleanSpark, CLSK. All right, CleanSpark got out of its downward channel. Is this one going to pop off too? I hope you guys are noticing a theme here. Miners are starting to show a bullish market. Now, Mara, the number one mining stock as far as crypto or Bitcoin holdings, it is yet to do it, but mining stocks are popping off. It's showing good bull structure, getting out of these channels, moving up in the channels. Let's see where CleanSpark, what it does at the 786 at 2147. But if it can get above that, I think this one can really take off. And CleanSpark market cap of almost 4 billion. If this one were to 5x from here, that'd be definite profit taking area. Let's finish with these three: Bitfarms, BitDigital, and Hive. Bitfarms, not Boit Farms, Bitfarms. Get that O up. I mean, look at this. Bitfarms doing very well now. It did get above that 618. Now it's having a little bit of a pullback. But you see that wick there? Okay. Now, if the candle body can stay at that 618 at 283, that'll be good. But if it starts to break down within this fib range, we have the 20 right there at the 20 moving average at 222. The 50s down here and the 0.5 at 192. But overall, Bitfarms doing very well. It almost got to that. As far as the cycle high, you see how we had these lower highs. This area at 393 is what it has to break. Okay. Now, good move recently. It's probably just resetting itself for support down here. And if you don't want to miss it, I'd be patient for 191. Hopefully that'll be good support if it gets there. But once it breaks that 385 area, you have the 786, 385, the $5. If it gets through that zone, I think this one can really run. Let's get through BitDigital. But yeah, Bitfarms, I think, is just going to have a little pullback in time. BitDigital, man, this thing has just been accumulating for a while. And anywhere around its macro 382 at 257, I think is a good area to buy. I did read some news. I have yet to follow up on it. They were talking about possibly doing some stock share dilution. If so, that's overall bearish to an extent. But man, I like this accumulation. And, as far as these lower market cap mining stocks, I've seen this with crypto. And let's actually go to this chart right here. The lower market cap altcoins, lower market cap mining stocks. Last cycle, I saw a lot of those low mid cap ones pop off way later, okay, as far as near the end of the cycle. So if these are just chopping around and all of a sudden Bitcoin's at 150, 200K, and then these are popping off like 5x out of nowhere, that's how you know you're like really close to the end of the cycle. So that's what I've seen in the past. We'll see if that happens in the future. Let's go to Hive. And, again, you subscribers are smart. One of you brought up Hive down here. And I bought I bought a little bit, not a lot, but it did 2x. And so thank you for whoever left that comment. I owe you a beer or coffee or something. But it is hitting resistance at the macro 382, high to low. You can see we got to get above that 382. If you do not get above your 382, you can still technically put in new lower lows. And the fact we have a descending channel, that is concerning. So Hive is not showing that it's truly resurrected yet. This thing might turn into ultimately a dead project. And, I'm going to hold. I'm going to be a little greedy because it's low market cap. I didn't invest a ton. I didn't dollar cost average a ton. So if it dies, it dies, as Ivan Drago once said. But if it can get through that channel, and especially about the 382, I mean, what I'm looking for here, this is truly an educated gamble play. Last cycle, again, look when this thing started to take off and break out of the structure, November 2020. Okay, so there's about 5-ish months left until the top, and Hive did, from that area, practically a 20x. So I'm hoping for a 10 to 15x on this one. Again, didn't invest a ton, just sort of fun play money. If I make good money on it, it'll pay for a vacation. I'm happy with that. So again, overall, to put a nice bow on things, we have miners starting to bubble up, pop off. I am somewhat concerned, though, about the next couple weeks. I think markets have been hot for a decent minute here. And so if we got a little bit of a pullback over the course of the next 2 weeks, I would not be surprised. But any of these pullbacks, I think, are dip buying opportunities, in my opinion, and I'm excited about that. So, again, hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think of my deeper dive in the Mara. Do you like it, or do you want me to just, let you guys do the research and just do, 1 minute analysis on all these miners as far as the charts go? If you want me to continue doing that way, just comment below. Any constructive feedback is welcome. Not going to hurt my feelings. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful day. Take care.